Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this month's Vendor Spotlight webinar sponsored by Protective Insurance. I'm Tom Kim with Rhodes, provider of the platform powering the Protective Insurance marketplace. So prioritizing driver safety is a critical component of an overall safety culture. It helps protect your bottom line, your brand, and most importantly, your community. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by Samba Safety, the leading provider of cloud-based risk management solutions for commercial drivers. They'll cover why fleet driver safety is a top priority, and you'll learn how to create a comprehensive safety program. To kick it off, Harry Stork from Protective Insurance will share a few thoughts, followed by a presentation from Chris Galt and Graham Saunders from Samba Safety. We'll wrap up this session with a quick guide on how to view Samba Safety solutions on the Protective Insurance marketplace. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen, and we'll address all questions at the end of the session. With that, I'll turn it over to Harry.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And it's great to get our webinar series going again. We have had quite a bit of interest in this topic, so we're very happy to have Samba Safety join us for an informative webinar. Many may know Samba originally from their MVR and MVR monitoring. They're one of the leaders in that space, but through a great strategy of acquisition, they have now expanded their portfolio to be a one-stop shop for many key areas of safety. And with that, I will turn it over to Chris.
Good afternoon or good morning, everyone, depending upon where you're coming in from. And thank you so much, Harry, and thank you, Tom. I've had the pleasure of working with fleets for the past couple of years on fleet and risk management. I'll turn it over to Graham to introduce himself, and then we'll start our seminar today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Graham. I'm a solutions consultant here at Samba Safety. I've been with the company for about 4 years, so I've seen every which way of folks attempting to get to monitoring and how we can actually help really round that out. So looking forward to talking everyone through this today.
So we're going to talk a little bit about driver safety, and the important thing to think about that is reduce preventable accidents and claims. So for 25 years, Samba has been known for its risk management practices, mostly MVRs, about 50 to 60 million every single year, continuous monitoring. We added CSA monitoring. And in the past, let's say 3 years, we've had 2 strategic acquisitions, which led to more of a holistic approach or more of a holistic risk score when you're really looking at your drivers. And that was one, a driver training program, ITI. Many of you know about that. That is encompassed today. We're going to go over, as well as an acquisition of a telematics aggregation company. So we're not a TSP provider, but rather what we do is we normalize this different telematics data so you can make sense of it and actually create action. So why is prioritizing driver safety important? I mean, let's just look at some stats. We're at a 20-year high for traffic deaths in 22, 29 consecutive straight quarters, promotional premium auto increases, and the crash and the impact to employers. So we're talking about people here, we're talking about financials, and we're also talking about brand as well. So when we think about next steps and how a company should address this, we believe that there should be a holistic driver safety policy. So we're going to go through 5 simple steps to do this today. Remember, why is this important? You know, I sit in Florida, the home of the $1 billion nuclear verdict, right? It's a litigious society. Everyone is familiar with that. Well, the largest reason why this $1 billion verdict came down, besides unfortunately a young gentleman was killed in the state of Florida on I-95 near Jacksonville in 2017, was the negligence of the company that did not check this gentleman's. He did not have a commercial driver's license. He was over his hours of service, and he was also distracted driving. So today, as I said, this is all about proactive prevention. So great components when you think about a driver safety policy. I'm not going to go through all of these, but really the most important thing for yourself when you're advising another person, or if you are actually a client yourself and you have employees driving for you, is to create something that's manageable, right? So if you create something and put it in a drawer, you can also be seen as negligent, right? So we want to create something that sets a foundation of safety, a safety culture, not only for your team, but your community, and something that you can manage yourself. The nice thing about this driver safety policy is that we have drafted guidelines for a driver safety policy that are going to be on the marketplace, and Tom will show you that afterwards. So you can quickly pull that off. Now, we also have one for non-regulated drivers, but one for regulated drivers as well. So if you don't have a driver policy in place, we're going to be able to create or share an example for you later today. And turn it over to you, Graham, to talk a little bit about the next couple slides here.
Thank you very much, Chris. So again, being in the age of nuclear verdicts, having a driver policy is not just enough. You need to make sure that you're able to enforce it. So the old way of checking into driver behavior, maybe through manual motor vehicle record pulls or just or actually asking for self-reporting, that's not reliable enough. What we're seeing out there is drivers want to keep their jobs. If they're involved in an incident, they're not really motivated to self-report. Also, going back to manual motor vehicle records, that can be a messy process. You're trying to compare apples to apples. That's a lot of time, labor-intensive work, and it just takes way too long to do. So we have a simple solution that's going to help you automate that process, so you're not digging through motor vehicle records once a year, just hoping to catch the bad apples. Chris, next slide, please. Thank you very much. So not only are we able to help you monitor your drivers, but we're also able to help you provide training to your drivers. What we see over here at Samba Safety, our customers who are training their driver population monthly have half the violations of those who train on a less frequent cadence. We give you a tool to make it simple to deliver driver training to everyone that needs it. Also, what we're able to do is we are able to help you immediately intervene with driver training as well as that alert. So conversations can be had with drivers quicker, and we can get tools in front of drivers to help you fix that behavior before it leads to problematic patterns that could ultimately end up in a claims event, or even worse, a nuclear verdict. And, you know, it's not all doom and gloom over here, right? We talk a lot about alerts. We talk a lot about finding issues with drivers, but also what we can do is we can help you recognize the drivers that are doing what they're supposed to be doing. We'll highlight that just a little bit more in our demo here in just a bit. But what we see is we get our customers get really good results in rewarding the behavior they want to see. It can be something as simple as giving them recognition, gift cards, merchandise, the list goes on, but we're here to help reward those doing what they're supposed to be doing. And Chris, I think I'm sending it back to you.
Thank you, Graham. I think what we're finding mostly is that people are doing the bare minimums, right? Or they don't even realize there is a better, more simple way to manage risk for their partners. As I said, what we're looking at today is reducing preventable accidents and claims together. So when we're prioritizing a safety culture and figuring out what this policy looks like, these are things that we see small and big companies doing together. So creating that policy, monitoring for violations, proactive driver training. And the way that we say proactive is that's not just punitive, but really becomes part of the holistic safety program of your company, establishing interventions, rewarding our top talent, because what we fail sometimes to remember is that we're dealing with people, right? So we're not only in a driver shortage, but we are communicating with the lifeblood of our economy, which is transportation, and consult experts. So I will give you a kind of a good example of this. So a lot of people know of Scopolides, right? They're one of the largest litigation and transportation law firms. So those drafting driver safety policy guidelines, we worked with them to be able to create that driver safety policy, which Tom will walk through, where we can also find that on the Protective Marketplace. But before we flip over that demo, people often ask me, has there been any statistics? Has there been any sort of case studies? And yes, Samba has done many case studies with many control groups. And what we're finding is that if someone is continuously monitoring, we are seeing from a case study data standpoint, a 22% reduction in annual violations and a 14% reduction in crash. Right. So when we're thinking about our people, our brand, our reputation, and fortunately also looking out for our bottom line, being proactive about monitoring your drivers and your risk has incredible amount of benefits. So I thank everyone for the initial chat today. And I think we're going to go over, and I'm going to stop sharing, send it over to you, Graham, to talk a little bit about this platform that we've been talking about.
All right, thank you, Chris. We've alluded to a platform several times now, so let's go ahead and spend some time just walking through so you all can visualize what we've referred to. So I'm going to go ahead. We'll spend a quick five minutes or so walking through an abbreviated demo of the platform. I want to highlight how easy it is to use. So I will show you a few bells and whistles in here, but I generally get the question, okay, great, it's a platform, it seems to work well. How much time am I going to have to invest in this? I always like to caveat it. We're talking maybe a few minutes a week just to manage driver risk. We're managing driver risk through several forms of monitoring as well. We referred to motor vehicle record monitoring, which is us quite literally checking to see if there's any new items on an individual's motor vehicle record. But we also have CSA monitoring as well. We're able to alert at the individual level. And then we do offer telematics. Those all flow through the platform that we're going to look at today. These are a la carte items. So if you can pick and choose which one fits best for you. So what we're looking at right now, we're actually going to dive right into it. We're looking at our score dashboard. This is one of many reports that we have here, but I think it does a great job of illustrating how simple we make it to review our driver population as it pertains to risk. So we have three very simple categories. I'll actually walk you through these three in which we're grouping drivers in. We're grouping drivers into these categories by automatically scoring these items on their driving record to make sure that they're fitting with your driver policy. So first and foremost, we have our clean drivers. Those are the drivers I was referring to that might need a reward every now and then. These are going to be drivers with a positive license status, no violations whatsoever. Other side of that, we've got the drivers who shouldn't be on the road. These are going to be your DUI drivers or your suspended license drivers, folks that actually pose an immediate threat just by being on the road. Then we actually have a category in which we recognize that not everyone has a perfect driving record, a category where maybe you have a single speeding violation, something in between. We call out these drivers through our activity category because they're prime candidates for training. We want to make sure that we're getting ahead of these drivers before they become exception drivers. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on. We'll jump on over to our alerts tab. What we're doing here is we're providing you any new alerts that come out on the road. So these can be motor vehicle record alerts, telematics alerts, or CSA alerts. It all looks and feels the same throughout this alerting dashboard. Other piece I do like to call out is we are able to provide you email alerts as well, depending on how you want to manage this. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick on our friend Stephen Edwards over here. You see this alert. This is a motor vehicle record alert. We see that Stephen Edwards, who is in District 5, so that is actually a really helpful tool to group our drivers. We see that this individual was involved in a following two close incidents. So we're going to, of course, let you know what they were involved in. Then we automatically trigger a state direct motor vehicle record purchase when there is a motor vehicle record event, not for CSA, not for telematics. But we do give you a motor vehicle record for a couple reasons. One, it's important to understand what's on their driving record. We want to have everything that we can on the individual. Two, it's also great to have a government-backed document when, if we are to take any adverse action against the driver. Last piece that I'll mention, we do normalize all of our motor vehicle records. We don't want to bore anybody today by jumping into a motor vehicle record. We normalize that format. It looks and feels the same across all states. We also normalize our violations. So there's no guessing between states what violation means what. It's all a level playing field, and they're being scored evenly as well. Last piece I do want to mention on this alerts tab is we are actually able provide driver recommended training directly within the alert. So we understand that there was an event that happened. We can give you the tools to fix that behavior right away before they forget about the event. So we can recommend training right here. We can also assign courses from any other course from our 250 course catalog. All of our training is going to be web-based training. So that makes it very, very easy to track and make sure folks are doing what they're supposed to do. It is mastery-based training, so we are quizzing drivers throughout that training module to make sure that they're comprehending the material and not just sitting back and looking at their phone. Now, this is just one lens of training that we offer. This is remedial training. What we're also able to do is we can assign training on a monthly cadence, a weekly cadence, an annual cadence, any cadence that you want, we can assign through here. Very simple, we can assign training out, it can be to groups, it can be to individual drivers, and then we can easily track where we are with that training. We'll let you know who's completed training, who started it, who maybe has just been assigned, or any future trainings we have out there. Show you assigned training in the last 90 days, and then we'll give you driver specifics down here as far as individuals who have been assigned training, so you can look at all of the specifics there. Now, Chris, that was actually everything that I hoped to cover. Wanted to keep it high level today. We'll see if there's any Q&A that pops up later on in the meeting.
Well, I think one question that did popped up, and I think we can cover this, and Harry alluded to in the beginning, is that the platform, the simplicity of the platform takes away you having to look at the FMCSA website, a monitoring or understand MVRs, a different telematics provider, a different learning management system. So it brings everything together in one risk score. And when something negative occurs, like on your driving record, you are going to get an email alert. And that is a rarity that doesn't happen very often, but it's incredibly simple. So you don't need to be sitting in the system waiting all day for something to happen. And as you know, all of these can be broken apart and a la carte. They don't have to necessarily all be ordered together. But if you choose so, absolutely, it's an option. So I think, Tom, we finished kind of our overview of our driver policy. And I think we are going to turn it back over to you for questions.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris and Graham, for that insightful presentation. So now I'd like to take a moment to give everyone a quick tour of the Protective Insurance Marketplace. And I'll put the link in the chat window as well for reference. So looking at the Protective Insurance Marketplace, this is our newly improved design, which gives users an enhanced experience when browsing for the right safety and risk management solutions. At the top here, you can use the search feature or the solution recommender, which is a quick and easy way to get tailored solutions based on your business needs. You can even call or book a meeting with us where you can speak with one of our experts in the commercial fleet space. Also highlighted are limited time offers from our marketplace vendors with exclusive discounts for protective policyholders. Down below, you can browse by categories to find relevant solutions, and you can also see featured solutions. In our resources section up top here, you can click on videos to view past webinars. We'll also be posting a recording of today's webinar here. So to find Samba Safety Solutions, you can use the search box here. Just type in Samba. And I'll click one of the Samba Safety Solutions here. So by clicking on this will actually open up the full solution listing. Here, you'll see a quick overview, promotional offerings, and you can see for protective policyholders, Samba Safety is offering an exclusive 12% discount. Down below, you can see a media carousel that features videos and highlights, a Who It's For section, features and benefits, a longer description, and here on the longer description, you can see a link to that complimentary guide that Chris mentioned earlier for implementing a driver safety program. You can also see a resources section that includes additional brochures, data sheets, and other informative collateral, and an About Us section to learn more about Samba Safety. To speak with the Samba Safety team, you can click on the Request Info button and they'll reach out to you. So there it is, a one-stop shop to find safety and risk management solutions to solve your fleet needs. Now at this point, we'll wrap up with Q&A. So let's see what's out there. Okay, so Chris, looks like these will be for you,
Okay.
Chris and Graham. Let's see, first question, do you face resistance from drivers in this era of shortage to continuous monitoring, and how do you overcome?
Sure. I think introducing any new platform or program could be a little bit cumbersome for some people. I think it's really all in the positioning, right? So we've worked with safety and operations teams before when it's rolled out, really showcasing that cause of safety, but there's also benefits to our drivers, right? We're going to let them know when their medical certificate is about to expire. We're going to let them know when a driver's license is about to expire. So there are significant benefits when rolled out. Most of us are comfortable in the arena right now, understanding that there's this like data share So really pumping up the benefits. I think if rolled out properly, we're not seeing any real issues that way. Graham, I don't know if you had anything else to lend to help us overcome that.
Yeah, the other piece is we're also providing tools, tools to help
Great.
driver behavior. So we're providing that training to help them be better at their jobs. Last piece I do want to mention is we did talk about a reward system as well for the drivers doing what they're supposed to be doing. So a reward system is typically welcomed, as you can imagine. So you partner it with that, reward the good drivers, everything seems to fall into place.
Okay, great. This next question, buying services from an a la carte menu, or can you buy bundled pricing? Chris, you kind of covered this, but if you want to just reiterate again.
Yeah, absolutely. You can break up anything. So if say you're really focused on driver training, and you just want a learning management system to be able to track, train, and measure there, you can absolutely do that. So it is a la carte. Obviously, more services that you have, there is a bundle pricing that Protective passes on directly to you, as opposed to any benefit to them. So it's directly for the clients and policyholders there.
Okay, great. See, next question is training only assigned based on MVR incidents, or can you use telematics or camera provided driver behavior?
We can also recommend training based on telematics data. So the camera as well, that's included in there. And that's just for recommended training. So recommended training can be used in any alerting situation, but also you can use just the training as we showed in the training dashboard for any cadence that you want.
Okay, great. Let's see. Next question. If one wants to start with baby steps, what would you advise we implement first?
Graham, do you mind if I go first?
Happy to take that one. Generally, I will recommend motor vehicle record monitoring. So there is, I mean, obviously, if you don't have a telematics system in place, that's going to be tough. You got to work with a telematics provider, get get devices in vehicles. So motor vehicle record monitoring doesn't require any of that. There's no hardware that you have to work with. You can easily just enroll drivers through a few key pieces of information that we take from you, very simple pieces of information, and then we're off to monitoring. But we also have many clients who also phase the approach. So they may start with motor vehicle record monitoring, graduate to CSA, and then add telematics as well.
Yeah, and Graham, I would add that work in partnership with your loss prevention expert from Protective. They can review your claims info or any other areas of focus that you want to try to prioritize. And then, kind of be your wingman with Samba if there are, follow-up questions. So Tom will went through, how to request info using the Protective Marketplace. That's a really good functionality because it keeps a record of your inquiry, and your loss prevention rep also is copied on that. So use the marketplace, please. There's many vendors on there, and Samba is a very, very powerful vendor in this space. So take advantage of the ease of access, and your LP rep can work with you to map out a strategy if you'd like for them to help you.
Yeah, Harry, I think that's a great point. We've had some really good conversations with some of your LP reps just in helping advise their partners as well. I say that some of these services out there, there is a menu of some incredible services, but like, where do I start? So we're happy to kind of just give some off the record advice there as well. Nothing legal in nature, but more than happy to help triage what could be a good solution.
Okay, great. There was actually one more question that's back in line, Graham, with your telematics camera question. How do you get the telematics and camera data?
So Samba Safety, again, does not provide you telematics devices. So you would get a telematics device through Samsara, Geotab, whoever. There's plenty out there. The way that we access that data is through a back-end API feed. So it's a very quick, easy connection that we're able to make, and then data begins flowing.
Okay. All right, so that's all the questions we have for today. Please visit the Protective Insurance Marketplace to look at the Samba Safety solutions and any other solutions that can help solve your safety and risk management needs. A big thanks to Harry for sponsoring today's webinar, and thanks Chris and Graham for the very insightful presentation. Stay tuned for future vendor spotlights. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.